You rang?
Okay, we're at home with Helen and Bernie Field on May 7th. This is May 7th, isn't it?
Yes, it
Is my
is.
camera correct? 1990. This is about a month after your 50th wedding anniversary. Now, the picture that we're looking at right now is from your wedding. That's your wedding picture. You guys haven't changed a bit.
February 18th,
You're
1940.
so funny.
Okay, we're going to back up. You can put that down now, Bern. I'm going to back up a second.
We haven't changed.
No, you
He lost his hair. What? I lost. I'm not talking.
What we're going to do first is just check, make sure that the level on this thing is correct. So just, you can talk about anything. We just want to make sure it's correct, but then we're going to go back over and we're going to start again.
Okay. I was still talking about that makeup guy. He was just fantastic. There were two men.
Bert, you're going to enjoy this.
He wants us to talk. He said
That's
that.
right. He's just checking a level.
Well, you could say something if you want to.
So what show is this?
This was on Sally Jesse. If I'm home Monday morning in between my chores, I listen, and I couldn't help but watching because he did a such a history. I don't have such a history.
That was because of all your clean living, Helen.
You're right, you're right.
Okay. Now,
Am I in your way?
may I have your that sheet, honey?
Yes.
Now, is it China? What we would like to do is to get on tape for about an hour or so, however long it takes, what amounts to a biography. And in this case, it could be autobiographies of you both. I asked you to look over some questions, and we're going to go through and just chat about them. We'll take the information that's being put on tape right now, and we're going to transfer that onto a VHS tape, and maybe
That's lovely.
see that for forever and ever. Now, the occasion is your 50th wedding anniversary. You just recently celebrated that. I know you were married in February 50 years ago, so that would make it, what, 1930? Yes?
1940.
1940? Pretty good math on my part, yeah. Yeah, 1940.
I do the books.
Yeah. So what I'd like to do is to start off. Why don't we start off with you, Helen, and I know, is something going to chime here? Why don't we start off with you? Trace back as far as you can remember on both sides of the family, and just tell us a little bit about, do you remember your great-grandparents or your...
No.
How far back can you go?
I don't even remember any grandparents. Pardon me. My mother came as a young girl to this country.
From where?
From Russia.
Really?
From Minsk. My father came from Odessa because of the pogroms. You know, so he fled. An uncle gave him some money, he fled on a horse, and came to America. They both came on steerage.
Be on yet?
It's on.
Excuse me. They both came on steerage, and you know that must have been at least 4, maybe 5 weeks, excuse me.
What's steerage?
That is the lowest in the ship, the lowest berth, I guess.
The cheapest.
Where people were like cattle, I guess.
Should I go get some water for you?
What?
Get some water for you?
I've got that drip.
You do.
Well, however, we're still recording.
Yeah.
Really?
Go ahead.
Steerage.
And my mother came to an aunt, and she did get a job in one of the blouse factories. Thank God it wasn't the Triangle. She met with my father.
You said, thank God it wasn't the what?
That Triangle blouse factory that burned, that big...
Oh.
That was that famous fire.
Really?
Many.
When did that happen?
That was in a sweatshop. What year?
1906 or 19...
Well, let's
In
see.
the early 1900s.
Huh.
When they jumped out of windows.
Mama came in 1910, I think. However, She met with my father,
That's right.
and they got married. They had a little house wedding, and they were very happy together. The three girls, we are three sisters, were born. I was born in the Bronx. And my older sisters, of course, shortly after they got married, they moved to Harlem, you know. And then when things got better, my father learned himself how to read and write. With my mother, it was very difficult. Of course, these kids came, we girls came fast, and as much as we wanted her to go to night school, but mothers then baked and cooked and cleaned and just was present.
So the three girls, you and your two sisters grew up in the city?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and your parents met where again?
Well, it was in New York.
Okay, what?
It was in New York because there was like a benevolent society where these people came from the same town, and that's where she
Did they
met.
speak English when they came?
No, they spoke a lot of Russian. When we were growing up, if there was anything that they wanted to say that we shouldn't hear, they said that in Russian. And an uncle of mine said, when your kids go to school, they won't even know how to talk English. Because we did have a little knowledge of it, but that left as soon as we entered school.
Okay, but your parents didn't know each other in Russia.
No,
They met here because there was a community of Russian Jews?
Right. And the Lower East Side.
Yeah.
That's where they came, that's where they settled. And then when things got better after they got married, they moved to Harlem. When things did get a little better, they moved to Bronx. I was born in the Bronx. My sisters were born in the Bronx. I have two sisters. My sister Florence is 6 years younger than I am. My older sister is 18 months older. You want to know where they live?
Sure.
Yeah. My younger sister Florence lives in Port Ewan. My other sister Lil lives in Poughkeepsie. Her children have settled up there, so she lives there. And
did your parents ever tell you about their parents?
no, my mother said that her mother died in childbirth, so she had a stepmother. Father had parents, I guess, but I mean, I guess,
That's likely.
But I mean, with the pogroms and, you know, just like the Fiddler on the Roof, this is true. That's what happened, and that's why they want to migrate.
That's interesting. So you're not able to trace your parents?
I don't remember any grandparents.
There weren't any?
Because they were there, but they were in Europe, and I think they were killed. So I didn't know the feeling, the love of a grandmother or a grandfather.
Isn't that interesting? Then, Helen, there could be in Russia today relatives of yours all over the place.
They aren't there. They were killed.
I think so.
They were killed. My mother did have a brother. She did have stepsisters. There was a big family. But I think when she came here, and of course they had been writing, but we never knew. I never knew what happened.
What was your mother's maiden name?
My mother's maiden name, now her brother was, when he came to this country, you know, when they landed at Ellis Island, no matter how they said their name, my mother's name was Jurgen. My uncle who came, his name was Goldstein. So however it sounded, the way these immigrants spoke, that's the way they wrote it down.
And that was their name?
My father, it's a real long name, Zolotarev is the name. It was Zolotarevsky, Zolotroffsky. But in this country...
Is that how you grew up?
No. He took off the Z, he took off the ski. So it's Zolotrov, Solotoroff. In the Bronx telephone book, there must have been two found, my father and the uncle, with that name.
How did you grow up? What was your name?
My name? You want to know the Jewish name?
Well, no,
Helen.
Was Zolotrov.
Helen Zolotrov.
Yeah.
Right.
Isn't that interesting? And that was... What about you, Bern? Can you... you have to refer to notes, huh?
No, I don't.
No?
I don't.
How far back can you go?
Unfortunately, our grandchildren are very fortunate that they have us, and I say that with a lot of pride, because I have the same situation that Helen had. I never knew any of my grandparents.
No
It's
grandparents.
I
sad.
never knew any of them.
It's so sad.
My mother came from Romania. My father came from Russia. Unfortunately, I never knew my father. I was 8 months old when he died. My mother lost her mother when she was 3 years old. And when she came to this country, she evidently was 15 or 16 years of age. Married very young. Had 3 children with her first husband.
What was her maiden? What was her name?
It's a very good question.
No.
Her name was Hammer,
Hammer?
and that was her stepfather's name. I never knew her name before that, because she had a stepmother when she came to this country.
Isn't that interesting?
That's right.
Did she ever speak of her father?
No. She had a stepfather in this country, and I didn't even know him because he died when I was very, very young. She lost her father in 1918. But no, she had a stepmother, and she had a real father when she was in New York. And her father died in 1918. And she remarried evidently when I was just about, I would say I might have been 6 or 7 years of age. And she married a man who lost his wife, and he had 2 children. My mother had 3 children. It was a mixed-up family. And then they had a child together, which means that I now have a half-brother.
So you have step brothers and sisters and a
That's
half
correct.
brother. What was your name?
My name when I lived in New York was Kaplan, because that was my stepfather's name.
Well, what was your real father's name?
My real father's name was Nisanovich,
Nisanovich.
and he changed it to Finkel.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
Bernie, this is complicated.
I'm talking. I don't want the grandchildren to get the wrong impression. I don't want to hit you in front of them.
That'll be the day.
My father's name was Nisanovich, and I never could figure out where he got Finkel from. But anyway, growing up, that was my name. Most of my father's family went to Atlanta, and they changed their name to Nissen, which I thought was a very nice name. But anyway, my name was Finkel when I went to school, and on the street I was known as Kaplan because my stepfather had a candy store, and everyone in the street knew us as Kaplan, of course. And I didn't change my name to Fields till, maybe till I was about 19 or 20 years old. I had it changed legally.
Why?
I just thought it sounded better. And the fact that Finkel wasn't my real given name,
You had so many to choose from, though.
I felt that Fields, actually, it was my sisters that did this before me, that changed their name to Fields when they were growing up and before they were married. And maybe that's what made it easy for me to change that name. We lived, I was born in 104 Stockton Street in Brooklyn. From there we moved to the east side, 32 East 2nd Street, right off 2nd Avenue.
You're showing off.
From there we went to Harlem, and we lived in several addresses in Harlem. I have the addresses, I don't think they're important. And from